Hello and welcome to the first lecture of this new section in which we're going to talk about how to start a pilot project. So the purpose of this section is to precisely help you learn how to start a pilot project on Agile HR in H. And at the end of this lecture, we will start talking about an overview of how to start and one of the steps. So there are three things you need to do to start a pilot project on Agile HR. First, you need to start small by applying agile methodology to a single HR process. It could be performance management, it could be recruitment, or learning and development. For example, agile can be used to implement continuous feedback loops in performance reviews instead of annual appraisal. So start with one simple process, single process. Then test iteratively using sprints, which are short iterative cycles of work to pilot agile processes, test solutions, gather feedback from employees and managers, and improves incrementally. And the last thing that you need to do, very, very important thing, is to gather feedback, continuously collect feedback on the pilot from all stakeholders, including employees, managers, and the HR teams. So let's take a look at how to start with applying agile methodology. Start small by applying agile methodologies to a single HR process. So what do you think we can do? How can we start that? So starting small with agile methodologies in HR involves selecting a single process to pilot and allowing for quick learning and iterative process. And the first step that you need to do is to choose a focused HR process, right? Pick a single manageable HR process that can benefit from faster iterations and improvement. And as an example, it could be recruitment, onboarding, performance management, or learning and development. And these are the common starting points. Now, these processes often have measurable outcomes and touch various parts of the employee experience, making them ideal for agile transformation in HR. Then you need to form a cross-functional team, right? Assemble a small, dedicated agile team that includes HR specialist and representative from other functions. And the typical roles, as you see here, would be the product owner, an HR leader who defines the priority could be chosen for that process to become the product owner. There would be a role of a scrum master who ensures agile process runs smoothly, and team members, including HR professionals and stakeholders who directly influence the process. And this will ensure that the agile relies on collaboration and team ownership to drive improvement. So formulate this cross-functionality. Third thing you need to do is for this team, defines clear objectives and metrics. Set specific goals. Identify the specific outcomes you want to improve. For instance, reducing time to hire for recruitment or improving onboarding satisfaction rate. So set specific goals and then set metrics for success for these goals. Define key performance indicators that will measure the success of the agile transformation. For recruitment, it could be time to hire, quality of candidates, onboarding, it could be new hire retention, on time to productivity, and for performance management, it could be employee engagement or clarity of goal. Now, having these clear objectives and metrics will guide the teams and effort and measure the impact of the agile transformation. Then you need to implement agile practices using Scrum or Kanban process. Now, in a Scrum process, you need to break the process into short, focused iterations of 1 or 2 weeks called sprints. Then hold daily briefing meetings called daily stand-ups to track progress and address obstacles, and plan each sprint's goals and hold retrospectives to identify what worked and what needs improvement. So that's a process improvement. In Kanban approach, visualize the workflow, create a Kanban board to map out stages of the process. And there are three typical stages: to do, in progress, and completed. And focus on completing tasks before starting new ones to maintain a steady flow by establishing a limit work in process WIP. Now these agile frameworks allow for continuous feedback, transparency and flexibility to adapt to the changing priorities. Then you need to break down the process into smaller tasks, decompose the HR processes into small manageable tasks that can be completed within the sprint. For example, in recruitment, tasks might include refining job descriptions, updating candidate screening methods, or improving interview guidelines. In onboarding, the task could involve redesigning onboarding materials, setting up mentoring systems, or automating paperwork. Now, this is required because small achievable tasks allow for faster feedback loops and more frequent wins. Then gather continuous feedback, and to do that, what you need to do is at the end of each cycle of sprint or task cycle, gather feedback from stakeholders, and they being the stakeholders being hiring managers, new hires to assess the progress and use metrics related to your objectives to determine whether the agile approach is making improvement. For recruitment, you could be asking, are continuous candidates moving through the hiring process faster? Is candidate quality improving? For onboarding, you could ask, are there new hires reporting better satisfaction with the process? And such continuous feedback and data-driven insights allows for team to make rapid adjustments and course correction. The next thing you need to do is test and learn, test different approaches within the process in the form of pilots. For example, experiment with shorter interviews or new assessment methods in recruitment. And don't be afraid to experiment new ideas. Fail fast, but quickly pivot if they are not working. So try, and if they work, wonderful. If they don't, change to something new. Now, Agile encourages experimentation and learning from small failures, leading to quicker innovation and problem solving. Because they say your failures are your best teachers, right? And make use of them to leverage on to success. Hold regular retrospective meetings. At the end of each sprint of tasks, hold a retrospective meeting to reflect on what went well and what did not and what needs to improve. Use insights from retrospective to tweak the approach for the next iteration, adapt and involve. And this is important too because continuous reflection and improvement are core principles of Agile. And that ensures that the team constantly evolves and optimizes the process. Next thing you should do is to scale based on the success. Evaluate the pilot results after several sprints or cycle. Evaluate whether the agile approach has led to measurable improvement and then expand to other processes. If the pilot project is successful, gradually apply agile methodologies to other HR processes like employee performance management or L&D. Starting small, learning and then expanding agile practices to other HR areas helps because once the projects are proven successful, they can be applied to other areas as well. Let's take a look at an example of agile recruitment process. So there, what could be the sprints? The first sprint could be focusing on improving job descriptions and refining the candidate screening process. Subsequent sprint could be streamlining the interview process, experimenting with different formats of panel interview versus individual interview. And third sprint could be automating candidate feedback and offer management to speed up the decision making. Now, let's kind of quickly summarize the benefits of starting small with Agile HR. You can experiment without disrupting the entire HR function. So the risk is low. Also, you get faster results because small manageable sprints allow for quick wins and visible progress. And it is scalable because once the benefits are clear, Agile can be scaled to more complex or broader HR processes. So by starting small and focusing on one HR process, you can apply Agile methodology to drive meaningful improvement and then expand the approach to other areas. So what do we do next in the next lecture? So what we look at is how to identify a process with clear and measurable outcome, because we said and there we had looked at many of these things. So let's see how to identify a process with single process with clear and measurable outcomes. So thank you so much for watching this first lecture on how to start a pilot project in this course, Agile HR. I hope you continuing to learn new things, continuing to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And do download the PDF file to take a look at anything that you need.